I'm here today. I wanted to share with you my new homemade molds that I've made for making soaps, cold process soaps. I made my first batch of soap about 5 months ago. It was a hot process soap, and this last month I've made about 8 batches of soap using my new homemade mold. And I discovered these because I saw something similar to this online at one of the soap companies, supply companies, that was a round mold with a liner, and I said, you know, that just looks like a PVC pipe. I bet I can make one of those. So I did, and I did some research on YouTube first and saw a couple different prototypes. So between all of that, I came up with these. For starters, I had my husband go out and get me a 10-foot length of this PVC pipe. This particular pipe is a 3-inch diameter pipe, and it has it's Schedule 40 pipe, and that just has something to do with the pressure per square inch that it can take. There's other schedules out there, and I'm sure you could use thinner. You can see that it's pretty thick. But I like these. They're nice and sturdy. They're a little heavy. I had him cut these into 14-inch lengths, and so I ended up with 7 of these. One was a little bit longer. It's more than what I need right now as a new soaper. Maybe if I was making a ton of batches a day, you might want to get more. But I think that whole pipe cost something like $14, and that made 7 of these tubes. So then, from watching YouTube, I saw a tuber, and bless her heart for having the courage to share it online, because it helped me know that you can't just pour your soap right into this mold or it gets stuck. And fortunately for her, she put it in the freezer and she was able to get her batch out of there, but it didn't look very pretty when she got done. So I knew I was going to have to solve that problem. So I went to Bed Bath & Beyond, if you have that in your area, and I got a package of these flexible cutting board mats, and these came in a pack of 4 for about $7. And I took those and measured them out into my molds and cut them to this size. So I just had to cut a little bit off of the edge, you can see, to get them to fit in my molds. And they're just a little bit shorter than my mold, but that's okay because I didn't want to fill them all the way full. So I cut 7 of those to go into my molds, and when you put them aside, should have done one of these ahead of time, you just slide it down, and it doesn't always line up perfectly. You kind of need to fuss with it to get it lined up, and then push it until it's lined up inside your mold. And then I usually run my hand along the inside just to make sure that that seam is all flat on the inside. And then, I don't know if you can see that, but my mold's inside, or my liner's inside my mold. Then I also wanted to have this really cool honeycomb effect in my first soap. So I saw it online. They were just laying it in the bottom of their molds and then on the top to get the honeycomb effect. And I thought, well, I could do that in my round mold too. So I just took and I rolled that into a tube. Or I'm sorry, I actually took and measured out my bubble wrap on to one of my things first so that it was exactly the same width as my liner, and then I just taped that over with masking tape. It's pretty easy. And then it just fits right down on the inside of that liner. And then I was able to put my soap inside of all of that, and it came out great. Sometime when I have a batch, I'll have to do a part 2 and show you how that all works. It comes out really good. Anyway, there are also caps that they make for these, and I have not gone out and bought any of those yet. The ones at our Home Depot where we got this were rounded on the bottom, and I didn't want the soap making kind of a rounded spilling out into the bottom. So for right now, I just take a piece of wax paper and fold it into a square and use some rubber bands that I've gotten from my leftover veggies. Usually my broccoli comes in these really big rubber bands bundled together. And I just put that over the bottom of my tube. and then stand that up inside of my cardboard box. Make sure that's down all the way. And I would just set it down inside my cardboard box, pack my towels in around to make sure that it's insulated, and have that all ready before I pour my soaps. You just have to be really careful not to pick it up after it's full of soap, to pound the bubbles out. I made that mistake one time and all my soap came out the bottom. So I quickly just shoved it down, and I had a little blob of extra soap at the bottom I had to cut off. But if you just take it and take the box or take the side of these and just kind of tap them, or take the box and shake it, that's been working great for me. They do make some caps that are flat that you could probably work. I figured maybe some of that craft foam core could probably put in there to line it to make it snug, or I don't know. I haven't worked that out yet. So that's my idea for homemade PVC pipe tubes. And I will do a part 2 where I will show you how I pour my soap in, and I will show you how it slips out of the mold. I can give you a real quick, hold on one second, demonstration. I actually just, the top of my mold, usually the soap doesn't look very nice. Here's a batch I just did. These actually came out pretty good, but it's usually pretty rough on the top. And so I just take this jar, these jelly jars, fit perfectly inside of there, because the soap's kind of small. If you stick your, soft when you take it out, if you stick your hand in there, it's kind of gushy and it makes a big mess. So I just take the jar and I shove it into the top and just push, and that will push the soap far enough out the bottom that you can just take it and then just kind of give it a nice shake, and it comes the rest of the way out pretty easy once you get it going. So that's what I found so far, and in part 2 you can see how I do all that. Thanks.